Let's move on to the news that doctors are going to go on strike again. Resident doctors, formerly known as junior doctors, will go on strike for the third time this year. In the run-up to Christmas, the walkout is planned from the 17th to the 22nd of December. It's often one of the busiest times for hospitals. It's part of an ongoing dispute with the government about training opportunities, available jobs and pay. They want a 26% pay rise. The move has been branded inflammatory and unfair by hospital bosses. But the chair of the British Medical Association's Resident Doctors Committee said this: with the government failing to put forward a credible plan to fix the jobs crisis for resident doctors at the same time as pushing a real terms pay cut for them, we have no choice but to announce more strike dates. Health Secretary Wes Streeting said patients deserve better than this cynical attempt to wreck Christmas. And the problem for Labour is they threw money at the doctors to stop the strikes, and it didn't work. In fact, it may have had the opposite effect, Albie.
I'm sick of hearing about doctors going on strike. I've got to be honest. I think this is absolutely appalling. To go on strike at a time of the year where we know the NHS is very busy, not just in the run-up towards Christmas, but it's gotten a lot colder recently. And when the weather changes, people get more ill. Think of the old and vulnerable who end up in hospital at this time of year. And I just think it's appalling. And the demands that the resident doctors are making are just not realistic. They've had a nearly 30% increase in pay in recent years, most recently by the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, and yet they're still coming back for more. I don't know how anyone who works in the public sector could look at the government, know the state of the economy, know the state of taxation and revenue coming into the Exchequer, and demand more pay.
Well, Mary, you're more sympathetic, I know.
Much more, and I don't think it's all about pay at all. It's about working.
What is it? What else is it about? Sorry, they're striking for more pay.
They're not just striking for more pay. They're striking for better working conditions and for better hours, and they're striking for pay to match inflation. Yes, they've had pay rises in the last few years, but they're still working.
Does your pay match inflation every year?
No, but I'm
So why should it be any different for doctors?
Because I'm not in the public sector. And I think, and also I'm not doing the sort of job they're doing. Now, I don't think that, doctors are gods any more than many other people doing very important jobs. But the idea that this is somehow a moral question, whether you strike at Christmas or not. In fact, one thing that's really important to note is that when there are doctor strikes, mortality rates fall. And they fall because the GMC protocols demand that senior doctors and A&E clinicians are basically working. There are more of them working at a time. So there are fewer junior doctors, but they put,
I was more thinking of the old lady who was going to have the hip operation and get home for Christmas, and then it's cancelled, and she has to wait a year.
Yeah, now that's
horrific, and that's in pain.
It is, and that is a real problem. But what a lot of the doctor strike is about is saying we need to alter things so that we are not working in a system where that happens.
You think that's true?
Absolutely, I think that's true. And if you read...
Sounds like an excuse.
No, I don't think it's an excuse at all. And if you go into hospitals and if you're in there for any length of time, you see the conditions that people are working in, and they are run ragged.
All right. Well, you obviously both disagree on this, so we'll talk some more after the break. And I'd love to know what you think about it. Are doctors going too far with the Christmas strike, or do you think, actually, do you know what? We need to sort out doctors' pay and get them back and happily at work again. Give us a call with your thoughts. 020 7862 2222 is the number you need. Before the break, we asked, what have curtains once belonging to the royals been turned into this Christmas? Tea cozies, Christmas stockings or oven gloves? It is Christmas stockings. Yeah, so the handmade stockings made by a sewing group based in Dumfries House, there they are, and they're going to be upcycled and auctioned to raise money for the King's Foundation, which used to be known as...
The Prince's Trust.
Correct, and I don't think people know that.
How could they not know that?
I just think the rebranding is... Just call it the Prince's Trust.
Not?
No.
But what else could it have been?
Well, call it the Prince's Trust. It was a brilliant thing. Why change the name?
Yeah, I suppose.
I just think that's the fatal thing, yeah. So later we'll ask if all cars should be fitted with those... What are they called? The breathalyzers?
Breathalyzers.
But they're called Alco stops or something, yeah. So Alco locks. So you'd have to blow into your Alco lock to get your car moving. First, your calls on whether doctors are going too far with a Christmas strike. 020 7862 2222. So we'll go back over the past few years. Just have a look at the number of strikes. It's worth having a look here. Or take a doctor with his stethoscope and ask him if he can illustrate just how many strikes we've had. And it does go back to 2023. So First one in this current sequence was January 2023, strikes. Then March to June, same year, last Tory government, of course, more strikes. September 2023, again, this is under the Conservatives, Rishi Sunak, vote for even more strikes. So it's really a confrontation between the doctors and the government. And then you have 24 junior doctors in England accept a 22.3% pay rise. That's because they got the new government in and Labour paid them thinking it would stop. But then we get July, last July, they have another strike. Not only that, last month, November, they strike again. So that paying them off didn't work because they say, look, our pay in terms of the actual comparators going back 20, 30 years has slid against inflation, and they want what they call pay restoration. So if you have a look at this line here, the question is, how many days have we lost to strike action in the current sequence since March 2023? Number of strike days is 55. It's an awful lot, isn't it? In what, just 2.5 years? 55? So what have they achieved? That's the next question. Here's the doctor who can show us on her clipboard what the doctors have achieved so far with their strike action. They may say, well, look, we've got this. Pay rise is totally 28.9% in the past 3 years. So there's then a whole load of different ways that breaks down. Pay rise of 8.8 in 23-24, 4.05 in the same year. Then Labour came in, then 8% again, then 5.4 for 2025-26. The BMA says, this is the crucial bit, despite the pay rises, resident doctors' pay is still a fifth lower than it was in 2008 once you take inflation into account. So there we are. They've achieved a lot, but they've got a big gap still, Mary, and I know you agree with that.
Well, I agree that they do have a gap, yes.
Yeah.
And I agree that I think that's unacceptable. But what I think is more unacceptable is the way that people are now, doctors and nurses, are working 12-hour shifts in hospitals, 12 hours on, and then a break, and then 12 hours on again. There are problems with this. It means you can't work consecutive days in a row, which means if you've got inpatient care, you're not seeing patients day after day after day, and that's a very important part of medical care. The more nuanced things, seeing details, how are patients changed, are they getting better, are they getting worse, is there something else? That's a huge problem, and that's one of many problems about hours, about staffing, and it's why people are striking, and it's why some doctors are disappearing, and why a lot of nurses are, nurses trained here are not prepared to go into the NHS.
I would be up for giving doctors and NHS workers a pay rise if they could actually meet the productivity improvements, the very modest productivity improvements of 2% that the government have targeted. I would be up for paying doctors more if they gave up their defined benefit pension schemes. And a defined benefit pension scheme, they're not available to people in the private sector. It's basically when your pension is guaranteed by your salary rather than investment performance. I won't get a defined benefit pension, but those doctors who are striking, who are getting a bigger pay rise than I do, will get that, and they've had also a bigger pay rise than many people in the private sector over the past couple of years since they've been striking.
Interesting thing where the BMA said they're being paid less than baristas, people who make coffee, and then it was pointed out that baristas don't have final salary pensions, crucially.
No, they don't, but a lot of other people have final salary pensions.
I don't think anyone should have them.
Well,
that's a different...
Do they?
Academics have them. University
in the public
academics
sector.
in the public sector. Lots of people in the public sector have them. So it's not fair simply to complain about doctors having them.
But people in the public sector constantly go on strike because they talk about how unfair it is that their pay isn't going up with inflation. In the private sector, pay doesn't go up with inflation. Very few of us go on strike. And also none of us, very few of us, especially those of us who are my age, get the benefit of a defined benefit pension.
Let's go to Maggie in Suffolk. Hi, Maggie. Do you think this is a strike too far?
Yes, I do think it is. I'm just a recently retired nurse, so I do understand all the pressures in the NHS and, all the underfunding and all the rest of it. But everybody in the NHS doesn't earn enough. Paramedics do a tremendous job and don't earn anything like doctors do, but can do incredible things on site without the support of a team around them. And I think the doctors use their position as lifesavers to exploit the situation. And I just think it's wrong. You're going to make patients wait for operations that they've waited already a very long time for, debilitating conditions, and it's just unacceptable. And that's not what you went into medicine for. I didn't go into nursing to strike, and I've never striked. And I think it's wrong.
Thank you, Maggie. Claire in North Yorkshire, hi.
Hello, good morning.
Do you think it's wrong?
Yes. Yes, I do think it's wrong because the student doctors are actually not fully qualified anyway to go on strike to start with, and they get enough pay as it is. I can understand if it's the qualified doctors and they're striking too much. It's just ridiculous what's going on. It's not fair to patients keeping waiting all the time.
Let Mary respond to this. Mary disagrees.
They are actually qualified. They're just junior doctors, so they're new doctors, but they are fully qualified.
No, I don't agree there. No, I don't know. I mean,
well, it's
some
a fact.
students are
They're
not
qualified
and they're going on strike.
No, they're qualified. I'm sorry, you're wrong
about
about that. They are qualified. You're absolutely right to feel as you do. It's your right to feel that it's wrong for them to go on strike, but they are qualified doctors. They're just junior qualified doctors.
Yeah, but there's some junior doctors who are not qualified enough to go on strike.
Not in this.
They've all done their 6 years training.
They've all done their training.
Yeah. So they're not at they're different bands and they go up the bands, don't they?
Yeah, but that's the case with clinicians at all levels that you will meet in a hospital. But you won't get
convinced Claire by that?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, okay.
Thank you,
I don't think they deserve a rise.
All right, got you. Alan in Nottinghamshire, hi. Go on, Alan.
Hello, is that Jeremy?
Yeah, Alan, it's me.
Oh, sorry.
You there?
Hello, Jeremy. I can see my thing on screen now. I'm just going to turn it down a little bit because I'm very hard of hearing.
Don't. Whatever happens to mute your TV. That's the main thing, Alan. What would you like to say?
Yeah. Hello. I'm sorry. I'm here now.
Go on, Alan. Give it a go. Where's my sign?
What I wanted to say.
Yes, all right.
What I wanted to say was, I don't really agree with this junior doctor strike, but where the system is wrong.
Yes. Where's my sign? I need my sign here. Where's it got? Sorry, Alan. We've got a sign. Okay, we don't have it. Okay. Go on, Alan. See if you can just get to the point here.
Is what we want to do is to save money on top managers' wages, and save money on the top managers' wages and directors.
Yes.
It's been overrun by management for the past 40 years. Overrun by top directors and executives. If you've got to have top executives, just have one for one shire, and we'll save millions and millions of pounds.
Are you looking at your TV?
This is the noise I want from junior doctors.
You've got
Silence.
to mute your TV. Yeah, we got it, Alan. Anyway, it took a while at both ends. Thank you. Tom in Manchester, hi.
Good morning, Alan. Good morning.
Alan, great.
Well,
Look, it's December. It doesn't matter. What do you want to say, Tom?
good morning, Alan. Sorry, not good morning, Alan. Good morning, Jeremy. No, aside from blaming the government here, but let's be honest, we don't need an excuse these days, the fault lies entirely with the doctors. I mean, for starters, why go into that line of work if you know full well what the wage is on offer, and then to finally qualify and then think, right, I'm going on strike because I'm not happy with the wage? I mean, it's not giving a right.
Everyone's saying, Mary, everyone's saying the same thing here.
But that's because they're focusing entirely on the issue of pay, and pay is not the only issue.
They're going on strike saying it's not just pay, but it is just pay, isn't it?
I don't believe it is at all. It's pay and it's conditions.
What about that, Tom? It's not just pay.
well, pay or conditions. They know exactly what they get, what they're going
don't
into.
know.
I might as well have gone into doctoring if I know that once I qualify, I can sit at home on strike on £14 an hour. I mean, why do it? It's just exploiting the system.
I don't believe that's the case at all. Although I thought it was a very interesting point that the nurse whose name I've forgotten has nice person who
Claire.
phoned in. I think that's right, Claire. She is absolutely right that there are many other people in the medical profession. Paramedics are a very good example. They're lifesavers. They're probably saving more lives per head than doctors.
Also,
actually.
I don't know, Tom, when you say sit at home on £14 an hour, I suspect on strike days they're not paid. I can't believe they're paid through strike days. So, yeah, and Tom, in the end, they have got the upper hand here, haven't they? Because we sort of need doctors, don't we? So, in the end, if they want more money, we're going to have to pay them.
Well, I mean, they've had more than the fair share of pay rises as of late, like you've just listed. But, I mean, do they not understand that the country itself is going through a tough time? And as our dear friend Rachel from Accounts said this week, you know, everybody's got to pull to and pay,
pull together.
Pay their equal share, all together, one for all, not for one strike again, just before Christmas. It's not really putting your patients first, is it?
All right, Tom, thanks so much for getting us back on track there. After the break, we're taking more of your calls. Are doctors going too far by striking at Christmas time? They want a pay rise, another pay rise, another one. Is it the best way of getting it, or are you worried about the impact of this on people waiting for operations and so on? 0207 862 2222. See you shortly. Before the break, we asked which of these animals has the heaviest brain. Is it elephant, sperm whale, gorilla? It's sperm whale. We need to just check into this because you had a big debate during the ad break, and you were saying, Mary, not to embarrass you, gorilla, and you were saying sperm whale, on the basis that it's just enormous.
Yes, on that basis, I was toying between is it a gorilla or is it a sperm whale? But in the end, I thought sperm whales are just so big, even if their brains aren't that big compared to their body, their brain might be the size of a gorilla, which has got to be heavier than a gorilla.
Yeah, so it's 9 kilos, and a gorilla's brain is half a kilo. But then why don't we see sperm whales reading books?
Because it's all about the brain to body ratio. Also, sperm whales have got flippers, haven't they?
Yeah, but also
whereas you need thumbs to read books.
They do other things.
Gorillas are so much smart. Gorillas use tools.
They do. But sperm whales communicate over many, many marine miles, in different ways. So we don't know enough.
Brain size maybe doesn't relate to intelligence, but the sperm whale's brain is bigger. We can confirm that. More of your calls now on whether you think doctors are going too far by striking at Christmas. We've got that December feeling. It's one of those shows. Neil in Essex, hello.
Hello there.
What would you like to say, Neil?
Well, I just want to put it into context. My son is a 4-year med student.
Okay.
So he'll be going into his final year next year, and his girlfriend is a year 5 med student. And the strike is so much more than pay. There are lots of things associated with their action which are not really getting a lot of resonance in the press. The main thing is, I've just jotted down three things here. Speciality training. Now, after you've done your 2 years F1, F2, you go into speciality training for 5 years. As the lady quite correctly said, he is a doctor at that point. So there were 28,000 applicants for speciality training last year, 21 from overseas and 7 from the UK. And some countries, in like Australia, don't even allow foreign-born people.
Well, I think they've announced they're sorting that out. Literally in the last month, haven't they? Yeah. But you've got 3 things, and you're still on the first thing. I'm just worried we're going to take on time.
Sorry. I'll be very quick. Speciality training. Then there are the NHS likes to employ cheaper people from overseas to fill doctors' places. So even when you've done your speciality training, you're not assured a job. There are trained doctors who are working in Tesco's and Marks and Spencer's. And secondly, student debt. When they obviously incur a lot more student debt, and as my wife and I just found, that debt will be incurring an interest rate of 6%.
Yeah, and it can be 100,000 or maybe even 150,000, I gather.
The NHS.
Yeah,
the NHS chips in one year's of fees, year 5, but everything else is paid for by my son and students.
I understand all of that, but the issue against the striking is nothing to do with any of that. It's if you're a doctor, you shouldn't go on strike. Because you've got to actually hurt people.
No, you're right. They're just like the bin men and the train drivers. Yeah.
Well, they're not. They're not at all like bin men and train drivers. They're a completely exceptional class of worker.
No, bin workers who went on strike caused mayhem and caused health issues in Birmingham.
Yeah, but they don't do heart operations.
Well, I don't think my son will be doing a heart operation anytime soon. But
Neil,
come on.
What do you make of what the Conservatives think about this? Kemi Badenoch has said that doctors should be banned from going on strike, just like people in the army can't go on strike, policemen and women can't go on strike. What do you think of that suggestion?
No, of course not.
So you agree with Kemi?
I'm not a raving trade unionist, but everyone does have a right to withdraw their labour, including doctors.
And
sorry. Go on, Neil.
No, that was there's such a lot of time and effort and stress that goes into becoming a doctor. I just think they deserve to be a little bit well rewarded. My son told me that in the US, resident doctors earn a lot less for 5 years. Like they're slaving away in hospital. The difference between America and here is they earn 300,000 quid a year after the 5 years, whereas my son will have to continue slogging away, earning a small amount of money with a huge debt. And why shouldn't he earn a decent
Thank you, Neil, very much indeed. Jane in Somerset, hi.
Oh, hello.
What do you want to say?
Took me by surprise there. Hello. Hi, guys. I can't hear you.
Don't worry, I'm not speaking.
Oh.
I'm just waiting. You just take your time.
Yes, I do think the doctors are going too far with this strike, purely because I don't think they know what to ask for. And I think that they're not just normal people. These are very, very special people that we rely on a lot. It's mostly vocational, I believe. But I do think that they should be treated as special and get special deals with tax, special deals with a mortgage. Maybe, years and years ago when I was in Bath Hospital, the employees, the nurses and doctors there had to actually pay to park. Now, I don't know if that's changed. I don't know.
Possibly
but
it hasn't,
but these things, they should be creche facilities. They are normal people in the respect.
So you could conceivably, you're right, you could do some things around the edges. I don't know if you said doctors don't have to pay tax. The amount of people who would suddenly badge themselves up as doctors. I don't
think that's a very sensible idea.
Everyone, we'd decide we were doctors as well. I mean, you'd get an enormous amount of tax fraud if you did that.
But
the parking, yes.
Yeah. May I just add something, or we don't have time?
You've got 10 seconds.
John Stuart Mill, the philosopher, said that something is ethical if it promotes greater good without disproportionate harm. Many of these doctors are striking because they want long-term improvements in the NHS for better patient care.
OK, thank you. All right. Maybe. Thank you, Jane. Thank you for all your calls on this. Later we'll be asking if Home Alone is the greatest Christmas film. It's been voted #1. After the break, should all cars be fitted with those Alco-Lock breathalyzers? Most people would back fitting them, apparently. What about putting them in every single car? 020 7862 2222. See you in a minute or two.